You're listening to Why Germany podcast, the best place for relocation stories and expert tips, sponsored by Over the Offek, relocation agency to Germany, with your host, Eden Levine.
Hello, everyone. My name is Eden Levine, and you are in Why Germany podcast. With me is the lovely Daria Schneider. Thank you for coming.
Thank you, Eden, for inviting me.
Daria has a lot to tell you. Very interesting story. I had so much fun to learn about your story. So let's start with, why Germany, Daria?
Why Germany? Well, Germany is a nice country.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
It's a country with democracy. You have freedom of speech. For me, it was very important coming from Russia to know that here I'm not afraid walking streets if I see the police, because the police is there to protect me, or at least I believe so. It has good standard of life, definitely better than I used to have in Russia. And it has very, very beautiful nature. Lots of lakes. It's not so cold. Well, it's pretty warm.
Everything is in perspective.
Not minus 30, yes, depending on who's listening to, I guess. Yeah, so many good aspects, so many jobs, good education,
Yeah, and we're going to talk a lot more about that. But I want to take you a step back and to really understand the whole background behind your decision and behind you even thinking about relocating, not to mention to Germany. What was the process?
Mm-hmm.
Walk us through that.
That's a long story.
That's what we're here for.
Yeah, so I think since I was a little kid, I had a dream to leave the country, to leave Russia, to immigrate basically. And somewhere in my guts, I always knew that I will do it. I didn't have any plan, but I knew that when I grow up, I will go abroad. And I remember that I was in love with a boy in the first grade in my school. And I told him, I remember I was like 6 years old. I told him, I'm sorry, we're not going to be together because once I grown up, I will go. I will go to Europe and I will study there. I don't know.
Amazing.
Who told me that? But but years, there have been many years, and I traveled sometimes with my parents, those flights somewhere to Greece or to Spain. I've never been to Germany before my first time here. But every time we traveled somewhere, and it was such a rare occasion, I had a feeling, okay, this is like having life. It was a highlight every time we went somewhere. It was Turkey, Greece, Spain, also, of course, holiday, good weather. But it was also a different mentality. It was much nicer, much more beautiful. I don't know, maybe it had something to do with my personal story and my family. But for me, going abroad was something like having a good life and seeing how people can live, So when I was finishing my school, I went to the university, to the state university of my city where I grew up, Samara, what is the name? And I just noticed that the education was so bad. And my parents were not ready to let me go somewhere to Moscow, to St. Petersburg. They said I was too young. So a year later, I started collecting my documents for Germany. Yes, so that's the first thing maybe you can learn for your children. If you don't let them go somewhere near, maybe one time they go somewhere really far away. Basically I just started looking for, opportunities to study somewhere abroad. And Germany was one of the countries where you can study actually for free. And many people don't know that. Even Germans don't know that you can come here and study for free. Well, of course, you got to have like expenses for your life and tuition fees for the semester. But it's nothing like in comparison to normal study programs everywhere in the world, like in the States or in Sweden. And another country where I could also study for free was Greece, but I couldn't do it in English. And I had to learn Greek language like within 1 year from 0 to C1.
Oh, okay.
Like completely new language with new alphabet. And my father told me like, no way, like you go to Germany because the economics there is good. You're going to find a job and you already speak English. And I also tried to learn English as much as I could. And it was like a good option. I figured out I can come here. So I came, and it was like more a free mover story. You remember that word?
I remember, yeah. I wanted you to explain to those who didn't know, like I didn't, what is a free mover?
Yeah, I actually never Googled that word, but when I came to Magdeburg, so I came to Magdeburg to study here, international program. It was completely in English, bachelor's degree, and there were lots of other internationals like me. And most of them came because of the cooperation through their universities in their home country, and that the cooperation of the German university, or it was just exchange program, exchange semester or something. And there were like not so many people that came, and the name was like a free mover. There were just the people that for some reason collected all that bureaucratic stuff and just decided to move freely without anybody behind them, so to say. Yeah.
Right.
So this is where I learned this word. I was a free mover.
Yeah.
My own wheel.
We saw how much of a free will you had there, and like how much you wanted to go from the beginning. Really, 6 years old is, I think, the youngest I've heard so far. It's amazing. But how did your parents receive that? So you're saying, okay, they didn't want to go to St. Petersburg or to like Moscow, which is actually much closer, but they're like, yeah, Germany is actually a good decision.
I think I'm a great manipulator.
Oh. Perfect.
Yes. I think I've been preparing them for that. And I think the biggest part my father played the biggest part in that story, because he actually realized that the country is developing into not a really good place to live because of the politics and because of the economy, because of the preparing war in Ukraine and so on. It started long ago, and it was exactly at that point when I realized that I want to move out. And he actually supported me like morally to do that, because he understood that, of course, he's going to lose a daughter for some reason, but I'm going to probably have a better life than if I stayed there. But of course, the rest of the relatives, they were just shocked. And I think nobody really believed that I will do it till the very last day when I just left. They just say, yeah, of course, green matures at some point, those kind of jokes that I'm not going to make it, but I did it. And I think nobody took it seriously at that point. Till it happened.
And your whole family is still there?
Yes, my whole family is there. And it's, of course, a very pity story because of the war, first pandemic, then the war, like almost no contact, no physical contact. And this is quite hard, quite harsh. Yeah.
I can imagine. So when did you land in Magdeburg?
When?
When?
It was September 2014.
14, so almost 10 years.
Yes, 10 years. Oh my God, I get goosebumps.
Yeah, I mean, it's a big decision, right? And like, I can imagine you being like, okay, I'm ready. And like doing a whole leap, and especially when those who are like, oh yeah, no, you're just talking. And then you're like, haha, I'll show you. But then like, tell me how it was like first days in Magdeburg.
You were asking me that, and I get goosebumps again because I just couldn't believe myself. It was such a big dream. And I was 19 as I moved to Germany. Wow. I've never been to Germany before. I've never been alone to a foreign country before till I came. And for me, now looking back, I should have been afraid of all of that. But at that point, I just did it, and I had no fears. I came to Berlin with Air Berlin somewhere like at 11 in the evening. I had no fears being somewhere. The only one thing that I had in my head all the time is like, is it real? Is it real? Is it Germany? Is it really Germany? And I think that feeling I had like for the next 3 years.
Oh, wow.
It took so long till I just could believe that it happened.
Wow.
Yeah.
So you were in Magdeburg, a free mover.
Yes.
and then what happened?
What happened there? It was just completely new life. I started studying international business and economics. I cannot say that it was like my real free will to study that program. It was more like a marriage, how you say it, like arranged marriage. It was more like an arranged marriage because I had to study business because I already started studying management in Russia, and then I couldn't change any major. And I knew that I have to study something which is like very practical. So it was business and economics. And one thing, of course, it was very good quality. And with good quality comes, of course, a whole lot of responsibility to pass the exams. So it was very hard.
Yeah.
And I knew, like, I had some interviews with other people that already went through the semesters, that you can fail the math, for example, course in the first semester. And if you fail the first part, then you cannot take the second part. And then some people just fail the program completely because they failed math.
Wow.
And there were rumors that 70% of people failed math exam in the first semester. So
Ouch.
I started hell a lot so that I can pass that exam. And I did it.
Woohoo!
So the whole program was very, it was not easy for me to study. But I've really enjoyed, coming through these challenges. And although it was very hard for me, especially like looking at the place where I came from, because studying in Russia was very easy. And but I still finished it, and I finished it with a very good grade.
Wow.
So for me, it's like, yes. And now, as I'm doing my business coachings, I know why I learned it.
Oh, okay. We're going to get to that for
Yes.
sure. So you were in Magdeburg. You're
Mhm.
now in Leipzig.
Yes.
What happened there?
Whew, you ask me the questions.
That's what I'm here for.
Yes, so I finished my program in Magdeburg, and I actually wanted to go to HR. And I've done internship in one international company near Frankfurt and in international HR department. And I just realized that I don't want to do that. I'm actually interested in personal development, in helping people to realize their potential. I want to work for people and not for the goals of the company.
Mm-hmm.
So I just realized I need to study in my master's first. I need to study it in German so that I can excel my German skills, because before that I only studied in English and my German was okay, maybe like B1, B2, but it was not...
B1, B2 is not really okay. It's already a lot.
Okay, like for me it was okay, like,
Yeah.
but I understood that to do what I want to do, I need first challenge myself further, so I need German skills. So I went to the German program, and I also passed the test for C1, and I found a program in Leipzig.
Mm-hmm.
And it was called, well, if I translate it, the studies of giftedness
Uh-huh.
and development of competences.
Mm-hmm.
So it was very like, there's only one program like that in Germany. So I decided to move to Leipzig. And I also knew that Leipzig is a very beautiful city. Good for having a family, good for life, good for summer because we have so many lakes. Good university where Angela Merkel and many other very famous people studied or worked at.
Right.
They're renowned, and yeah, the choice was for Leipzig.
Yeah. And you studied in Leipzig, and you did the master in giftedness.
Mm-hmm.
I always find like really the when I'm asking people what did they study, they give me those answers. I was like, what are you talking about? I know there are physics, chemistry, math, or like, very simple ones, but then you can develop those masters to be, wow,
Mm-hmm.
very interesting very interesting topic. So I never heard of that before. So very cool. And where did that land you?
Yes, maybe first to that. In Germany, you can basically study everything.
Really, like, wow.
Yeah, so I've done my master's, and my goal was after that to go and work as a coach or as a psychological counselor, because I could do that after changing like my major from business, from HR more to the people development, coaching and supervision. But I couldn't get a job like very fast, and I wanted it to be fast. I wasn't ready to stay like for 6 months at home and do nothing and search for a job. I wanted to earn money. So I went to the industry, like back to the industry, and worked a bit in personal management and so like HR, recruiting, worked in an engineering company. This is where I actually collected all those skills of how to, go through the interviews, how to write a good resume, how to go through the selection process and so on. So basically I've like went for 1 year mostly like practical knowledge, and then I figured out how I can move more into the direction of counseling and coaching services. So I've done the training, I got certified for systemic coaching. Now I'm getting certified for systemic therapy. So like it's one step by step, and last year I started my self-employment, like working as a freelancer and also as a counselor and coach. So it's like, if you have a dream, you've seen that I was 6 and then it took so many years to come to that. And now I had another dream. It was my second dream.
Mm-hmm.
My second dream was to help people to realize their potential. And it started with a master's degree, but it's like never really ending process. It's always evolving.
Right. Yeah.
It's not like somebody says, okay, do the job. You don't find
just do it. No, just do it.
You don't find such jobs. Sometimes you have to create them.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I mean, this is, I think, the part of us being expats, finding a way to do what we need, what we want to do, because we have those challenges in our home country already, but then if you come from somewhere else, you have the language problems, you have the bureaucracy problems, they have created a system that doesn't include me somehow, and so we always have to reiterate, to think outside of the box. And this is also, from entrepreneurship point of view, also very important. So you already combined both in this new challenge that you created for yourself, but this is also, I think what's very charming about your story is how you have a goal. It's there. You're like, I will get there. One way or another, I'm going to get there. And you then make sure everything aligns with that. And there it is.
Yeah.
So it doesn't matter how long it takes. It's coming to a point where it's accomplished. And it's very great to see.
Yeah, thank you. Because there are thousands of regulations and things you have to consider. And of course, people that will say, oh, no, it's not possible. You will not earn money, or it's not allowed, and this and that. And then you have to spend so much time. Or maybe you go to a counselor or to a coach or to an agency, and then people can save you this time. And if you do it on your own, sometimes you can take years till you find that right combination of things that make you happy.
Yeah, people have experienced so much in life, and then they can really help you to make it faster or make it better or get better options.
Yeah.
So that's a great that you're there. And so you are basically now helping and consulting people with changing their jobs, and also with maybe deciding what's their next step. And especially also I've heard expats, you're working a lot with expats or with refugees as well.
Yeah.
Tell me, what are the challenges for people in this stage of transitioning?
Well, there are many different aspects. Like, of course, regulations aspects, we always have to consider them. What I see a lot is that people come with a very good qualification and they are not allowed to work in their field because this is not enough. Because Germany says, no, there's something missing. You have to go and study another subject so that you can be a teacher, because you only learned one subject for being a teacher. And then it takes like 2-3 years maybe. And to do that, you need a German C1. And, so first one, like, the great obstacle is really meeting the regulations. And in the best way, you have already German education.
Yeah.
Yes.
German bureaucracy 101.
Yes.
If you want to learn more about relocation to Germany, look for Over the Ofek on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, and LinkedIn.
Yes, like I had like clients that maybe already built many companies or have been managers of the companies, and then they come here and nothing works, and then you just, okay, what am I doing?
Jeez.
Yeah, and then you have to find the recipe, like how to make it, how to make this way. And sometimes it's like maybe a question of just recognizing the documents and waiting for 5 months till they're gonna get recognized. And sometimes maybe it's a question of going and doing Ausbildung for 3 years again.
Yeah.
It's always very individual.
Yeah, Ausbildung, for those of you who don't know, it's basically studies that are not academic studies, that teaches you a specific profession.
Yes.
Something like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
College. It's like college, basically, I think, or no?
It could be, I guess. I mean, there is an Ausbildung. One of my biggest surprises when I came to Germany, there is Ausbildung for being a cashier.
Yes.
And there is an Ausbildung for being
everything.
A waiter. And that's 3 years of Ausbildung. So I don't know if that's considered as college. If so, that's very funny. But but basically, those are studies outside of recognized academic facilities. I don't know, something like that.
Yeah. One thing you have to really know about Germany is that you need to learn anything. So even if you want to, for example, be a security, you have to do the Ausbildung. So everything, there's nothing you can just do because you're smart. I'm sorry.
No, that was the best way to describe it.
Well, I think one thing, you can go cleaning.
Oh, that's amazing. No, but also I think Germany is now starting to change it a little bit. I've seen, at least from the visa perspectives, that they are now allowing you to get a job even if you didn't study in IT, for example. So there are particular places when they're like, okay, we realize people can learn it by themselves and be good at it, but it's slowly evolving. Yeah. And obviously there are places where you're like, hey, I know how to bake perfectly well, but I don't have the license. I cannot sell. So those kind of obstacles that are coming can be very nerve-wracking. Especially for expats. And but it seems like also your personal story helped you, because you were like, okay, I have this goal, I want to get there, I have obstacles, I'm making my way. Does that help you with your customers?
Definitely, because there's always a way, you know. And you asked me what are the obstacles. So the first one is regulations. You have to consider the regulations. You know, sometimes you come from the country and you think, okay, I'm going to do that. No, you have to.
Some people think differently of what you decided.
Yeah, you can still do many things without even reading any laws and asking anybody. But at some point, you may get a fine for something, and then you cannot do that. And then you see, maybe, you know, as one story. Do we have time for one story?
Yeah, of course.
Like last week, I was at a training, and the trainer told us a story about a woman which wrote at her profile that she's a Heilpraktiker. I don't know how to translate it into English, but it's like something like learned healer. Healer for psychotherapy. This is basically the allowance license, which I'm going to take, and like exam that you take, and then you receive the certificate for that. So that person just wrote it on her profile that she's a healer for psychotherapy, and then it was not allowed because she didn't have the license, and then she had to go to the prison for that.
Oh,
I don't remember for many years, for how many years. But for example, you come and you say you're a psychologist, but probably you're not a psychologist, but you say you're a psychologist because maybe in your country it's okay. You can go to prison for that. So that's why I say always counsel and figure things out, because you never know.
Right. And that's also, I mean, that is if you are deciding you're going self-employed because you had so many obstacles from the employment situation, which actually I think is a good option. So obviously if you are an expert in what you do, or you have a lot of experience in something that you've acquired before, then it's great to kind of avoid these obstacles by just going and starting your own business. But also there, you have to be clear of what is it, even the wording you're choosing. Yes. So you cannot say, sometimes you cannot say advisor or Berater. You can say supporter, or I recommend stuff. So it's like you have to play around. You can still do stuff. You just need to know how. So it's like a good tip for that.
Definitely. So this fear should not paralyze and be the reason why we don't do things, but we should do things informed.
Absolutely, especially in Germany. What would you say is the good approach to find a job in Germany?
A good approach to find a job. Well, I think first of all, you start with an idea what you want to do. You know, first you look inside of yourself. If you have a good idea of what you want to do, then you can make sure if this has a good demand at the German labor market. Then you probably check out the first job positions on the internet. You see what they're looking for. And once you have an idea of what they're looking for and what you're looking for, and that exists, then I would say you start working on your professional application documents. And I think application documents is very important. So because like this CV, you know, the resume is a document, and it should be well written. And sometimes you just get not a reply just because you don't get a reply, because your resume is just
Not
bad.
up to par.
Not, yeah, not as good as it could have been.
Yeah.
And
or even not what is required sometimes. So one of the things that I've discovered here was a picture. You need a picture on your resume.
yes, although in some countries, if you send a picture, you're going to be declined because no pictures, please. Because because picture is always a reason for discrimination or, ageism, sexism or whatever. And here in Germany, you have to send a picture because otherwise they cannot make a decision.
They don't know if you are a real person or not.
They don't have an emotional connection to you as an applicant.
Right.
So professional documents is very important. What I see right now is that people start making them with ChatGPT.
What a topic.
Yes, it can help, definitely. But still, you might write just things that
are nonsense.
And you think, well, it's good German, you translate it and it's okay and you trust, but still. I always work on those resumes which have been done by ChatGPT and we still spend like 1 hour at least to improve it.
So you're saying it's okay to use ChatGPT, reiterate it. It has to be worked on before you send it.
Yes. Somebody should have looked at it. Somebody who understands how things work here at least. Yes.
I would agree.
Yeah. So then you learn about the German Anschreiben, which is a motivational letter. Sometimes you don't
cover
need
letter.
Yes.
Also it's called, yeah.
Sometimes you don't need it anymore, depending on where you apply. Like IT jobs, for example, I think nobody reads that. So you really need to figure out what kind of application documents you need, collect them, make them really, ordered, prepared, saved, named.
Beautifully done.
Yes, everything packed. And and then you start searching for the job. Of course, it would have been nice if you had some interview preparation before, that you know what you can expect. And I think one of the most important things that you can read the positions, the description of positions correctly. Because sometimes the description of the position already gives you a signal if you should apply or not, if you're going to get accepted or not. Because if it says like having really good German skills and you have like A2 or B1 or you only apply with English, probably no chance.
On another note, though, I've heard also that it could be that they're saying good German knowledge, but everybody has their own description of what that means. So if you're not sure, I would even apply even though you're not sure, because that doesn't harm.
Definitely.
Yeah. But it's the kind of thing that I agree that if they're saying you have to be in person in the office and you live in another city and you're not planning on moving, don't apply.
Yes, and you really have to pay attention to the details. So if it says like good German skills, then you can apply with any German skill probably, because good is very subjective. Yeah. But if they write excellent,
absolutely,
you should watch out for that.
Yeah. I had also another. We had a topic that we talked about before when we decided to do this episode. Nowadays, there is a big saying in Germany about how there are so many people missing, so many future employees are missing. I don't remember how much the number was, but they said even if all the people in Germany that now live in Germany would have a job, there'll still be vacancies. And yet there's still those people who are constantly applying, and it can be months until they get a job. Yes. Then how do you explain this?
Well, we have like theory, and we have statistics, let's say, and then we have practice, and they are not meeting each other that much, right?
Right.
So in theory, there are indeed so many positions that Germany is missing, but I think in practice, many employers are not ready for that, for the change. They're still looking for perfect team fit. They're looking for somebody who's speaking German, not probably native, but very close to native, like C1. And I think that's the problem, that it's changing. Yes, some companies are open. There are some startups which only speak English. There are some companies which turn into English. So like English becomes a language of the company, like all of the documentation and processes. but there are still some very traditional things where if you don't speak German very well, you're just not going to get in. And the problem is that people that need to learn their German and improve their German, they can do it only through working, maybe through studying, like I did it. Like I had many years for that.
Right.
But it's work which helps you to learn your your German skills, to practice it, to develop it. And if you never get a job and you're just sitting there and applying for jobs, and the reason that you get declined because of a German skill, then it's not gonna, it's like a vicious circle.
Right. But do you think that people who only have English or very minimum amount of German can still find a job in Germany?
I definitely believe in that. I'm a systemic counselor, so I never say like, no, you cannot do that or that.
I knew who to ask, you say.
Yeah, definitely. Somebody would tell you no without German. No. But I believe there are jobs. There are jobs in English. You could definitely have a higher chance to find a job if you speak English and maybe little German rather than when you speak neither no.
Right.
So
go ahead, learn German just for having bigger chances to find a job.
Definitely.
But don't get discouraged.
Yeah, don't get discouraged. My first internship was mostly in English, although we still spoke a little bit German, and it was an international company. So it is possible, definitely.
Yeah. And it's changing and evolving all the time. So and I think that there is a realization of we have to change something if we want to not stay stuck at where we are at or make it worse. It's super slow, but it happens.
Yes.
So there is hope.
Definitely.
Daria, if somebody wants to find you and they want to work with you, tell them what you do and how to find you.
Okay, so how to find me is very easy. You just need to type Daria Schneider in Leipzig. Then you find my website, hopefully as a first link. And
we're also going to put the link in the podcast description.
Great.
So, yeah.
So what am I doing? I'm offering support for people in 3 areas of life. And sometimes the 3 areas are very connected to each other. This is why I believe you cannot just offer one thing and the rest go to other experts, because these are 3 things. So the first one is job coaching. And second one is coaching to start entrepreneurship. And these 2 things, they can be fundable through the Agenturarbeit or job center if you are unemployed, officially registered here in Germany. My own thing is a psychological advice. I provide coaching, counseling, and also in the future, therapy. And at some point, I will have my own practice here in Leipzig. But for now, I do it online. And basically, no matter what the request is, I always work very individually. So if we're working on a business plan, but at some point I realize that the person just needs a good self-esteem, then we're working more like on a psychological part, and it's more like maybe coaching and going into the deep of the personality. And if it's just about help me please to go to the authorities and explain what my problem is, can you please tell them what I want to say, and then it translate, and this is like more counseling. This is what I also can imagine, like so the spectrum, like the interval of my services is very bright.
Right.
And I think this is my niche and my unique selling point, because I offer it in 3 languages. I have many different topics which you can all work through with me. And my optimal goal is always to help the person to use that potential that there is and help it grow here in Germany, to put it on the surface so that others can see that as well. Amazing.
Those 3 languages are?
English, German, and Russian.
Perfect. I hope you will invite me to your practice. I really am looking forward to see this. And for the last advice that you can give someone who comes to Germany, what would that be?
It's going to make you so strong. And you will learn so much about yourself and about your home country, about your mentality, about your culture. It's going to work so much on your personality. It's going to break you sometimes. It's going to make you grow sometimes. It's going to change you or kill you.
No,
but
hopefully not.
But if you are strong, it's going to make you really indispensable.
Oh, wow.
In comparison to those people that probably never have gone through the transition, through the difficulties of integration. You're going to get new personality, which you never had before when you learn another language and you learn how to communicate with people of another culture.
Wow.
It's super enrichment process. It's one of the ways how to level up, I think.
Absolutely.
Even if you go down first.
Yeah, no, this part has to come as well, and it will. So you're basically saying, get prepared for a roller coaster, but the end result, so worth it that you should definitely aim for going through this process.
Yes.
And I do completely agree with the fact that I think I'm now a different person just through this process. This process changed so much in me, and it shows you also how resilient you can be. So be brave, be scared, but do it. Like in the kind of thing of saying, do it while scared. That's a kind of in that situation.
Mm-hmm.
It will change your life.
It will change your life forever. And even if someday you just say, no, I don't like it, I want to go back. You will come back, but you will come as another person.
Absolutely.
So you have nothing to lose.
The option is still there.
Yes.
Yeah, most likely. Hopefully.
Hopefully.
Daria, thank you so much for joining the episode. It was wonderful, and I think we've learned so much from you. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Edna. I had so much fun.
Yeah, me too. All right, see you in the next episode.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this episode of Why Germany. If you want to learn more about relocation, make sure to visit overtheoffect.com, your relocation experts.